All right, Max Ludwigsen, thanks for coming on the podcast here. Class of 2017, Ketchikan High School. It makes total sense that you're a pilot now. It seems like you were destined to become a pilot. Was that what you wanted to do when you were growing up?
Well, in high school, actually, I wanted to be a heavy equipment operator, like cranes and dump trucks and stuff like that. And then my dad was part of like the 302 operating engineers. They're up out of Palmer, and that's what he did when he was my age. But so it was easier to get. He stayed in the union because it was easier to get other people in if you were still in the union. And so with me being his kid, he's like, I should be a shoo-in. And then I didn't get accepted into the school. And then my grandpa flew. And so I started working on the dock for TAC 1 in 2016, the summer of 2016.
Okay.
In between junior and senior year. And that's when I started working around the airplanes. My uncle flies. My grandpa flew. So it just kind of ran in the blood.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't just get into that stuff a lot sooner just because of how it runs in the family.
Yeah.
But it took me a little bit to actually get into it.
Your grandpa's kind of a legend, or not kind of a legend, is a legend, right?
Yeah. He's pretty known in the state of Alaska for flying, hunting, trapping, all that kind of stuff.
And that was the old school flying. They got to Ketchikan in like the 30s or something like that, right? So they've been there for a long time.
There's a story on, it was in he published a book, but there was a newspaper article and a story. Dave Kiefer did a lot of stuff for him, but he landed, I think it was a Pacer. I don't think it was a Cub. Small airplane on big wheels, on Tundra wheels. He landed on Mountain Point on the road back in the day. There's a newspaper article on it, but I don't remember what year that was. He was born in, I think, 1927. So I think, he must have been probably at least 20 or so. So maybe late 40s or something.
Was it emergency landing, or was it just to see if he could do it?
That's how he came to town.
Wow.
I don't know if that's specifically how he came to town, but yeah, it was Mountain Point right here on the corner. It was just a dirt road. So he landed his plane on it.
Jeez. That's crazy. You've probably got a whole bunch of crazy stories. Like the aviation in Alaska is totally wild because the conditions and everything else. I
don't know. I've been through not necessarily a lot. I've only been doing it so far for 3.5 years, 3 years, something like that. Actually flying commercially here in town. But I've seen some stuff a little bit. Mm-hmm. And hearing stories from my grandpa. Like I'd go out and visit him a lot, almost every day after work. And especially there towards the end because you kind of knew he was on the back half. Mm-hmm. And so I'd go visit him a lot and tell him, like, oh, today I went to Myers Chuck. And I'd tell him my story about today. A non-event day, just a normal day. And he's like, oh, this one time I went in the Myers Chuck, and he'd tell me about his stories that he had. Or all sorts of different destinations. Met, Kaufman Cove, all sorts of places.
Yeah. And then when it finally struck you to become a pilot, was it like, oh, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do? And when did that happen?
I wouldn't want to do anything different. I don't even know why I didn't jump on this a lot sooner. When did it start happening? Probably when I started when I didn't get accepted into that school, and I just started working on the dock, being around the airplanes, and then started talking to my uncle a lot about it, my grandpa a lot about it, and I was talking to Steve Cam. I was talking to him a lot. I was working on his dock there for a little while too. I was telling him I was kind of getting interested in the airplanes, and he was teaching me how to start them up just to warm them up in the morning, and so that was kind of luring me into it a little bit too. And he's like, you got to talk to your dad. He's like, I don't want to be the guy that pushes you into it. You got to get the okay from your dad first. Talk to my dad about it, and he was supporting me since day one. Go for it, do your thing. And he went out and told my grandpa, without me there first, that I wanted to fly and do what he did. And my grandpa was not happy.
Really?
No, he was not.
Huh?
There was some cussing and swearing going. Tell him to stay out of those damn things and blah, 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 this, that, and another. But then once I actually started to get into it, went down and got my private, came back and worked, went down and got the other ratings. He was super supportive. Mm-hmm. It was super cool.
So when you decide to get your pilot's license, there's a lot of different phases to it, and you can kind of stop whenever you want to. You just got another certification. So what's the process between your initial certification and then now where you're ready to fly? Was it Learjets or what are you doing now? Yeah.
So you got to go down and get your private first. And then you got to build some time, which I was thankful enough to be able to build some time here on the waterfront. But for me to do that, I had to get a seaplane rating. So I had to get a private, had to go get a seaplane rating, came here, built some time, and then had to go back down south, had to get an instrument rating, which we don't fly instruments here in town. Mm-hmm. It's all VFR stuff. But you still have to have it to, I think it's, so you can go with like further than 25 miles or something away from like the original base. I don't know, something like that. And then got to build some more time. And then you got to go get your commercial rating. And then you have to get a commercial seaplane because you got to get another seaplane since normally people just get the seaplane after they get their commercial, so you don't have to pay for it twice. Mm-hmm. But in order for me to build time up here, I had to get the seaplane for the private as well. So I had to buy that twice, but it was no big deal for me. Well, it was a big deal, but so I had to get it twice. And then had to build some more time here. Had to build up to 500 hours, and then you can start flying on the waterfront. Mm. And then that basically got me to flying floats on the waterfront. And then I had to get a multi-engine rating because I knew this isn't all I wanted to do was this stuff. So I took some time off one of the winters, went down to Florida for a couple weeks, got a multi-engine rating just to have in my back pocket because I knew I wanted to go do something eventually. And then tried to get on with Ace out of Anchorage. That didn't work out. They were requiring some stuff that I didn't want to be a part of. And so my dream job was always to fly for Guardian here in town. It's always been full-time Guardian and flying floats on my days off. And so then finally they had a spot open up in town and I knew all the right guys. And so they just sent me to class down in Dallas. And so I was able to get my SIC type in a Lear.
And they paid for it? You said they sent you down?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I was talking to a couple kids about trade school, and a lot of times there's opportunities for them to, sometimes your employer will get the certification for you. They'll pay for you to get that. Yeah. And that's a great thing to look into. Some people think they don't know, A, what to do, and they don't know, B, how to pay for it. But by asking questions and being around, there's a lot of opportunities.
That's the hardest part, really, is trying to come up with the money to do it all. Each rating is, back in the day, it used to be a lot cheaper, but nowadays it's, well, when I did it a few years ago, it was anywhere between like 10 and 15 per rating you got. Seaplanes are cheaper. Seaplane ratings are only like $2,500 or something. But my dad thankfully helped me out with my first one to kind of get me into it. Mm-hmm. And then instrument and commercial, I was kind of on my own. I had to figure out ways to try and squeak money here and there, refinancing something or asking other people, like employers, if they'd help me out and doing that kind of stuff.
So you have different airplanes, you know, as a non-aviator, this is kind of a comparison I'm making that some people, like we have a skiff, and I love the skiff for its freedom, for its, you can get into small areas, but it's really nice to also be on like a 30-foot North River. Oh, yeah. So when you're flying, do you like the larger planes for the commercial and for all the electronics and for all the just, this is an awesome aircraft, but you have a soft spot for the float plane, or how does that, what's your favorite plane?
I'm a big fan of the Turbine Otter a lot. It's got I flew the Beaver for a while. I still fly the Beaver now too, but my soft spot's probably the Turbine Otter. It's got a lot of power. It's, I don't know, it's just a turbine engine rather than a radial. They tend to have less problems engine-wise. Those radials are so old. But, I mean, beautiful airplane. The Beaver it's proved itself.
Yeah, for sure.
For over the past years. But my soft spot's definitely the Otter. And now that I'm just starting to get into the jet, it's my first IFR job. It's my first real flying job is what they call it. And I don't know. I haven't flown the plane yet. I've only just went down to simulator. But the simulator it's the airplane without the wings, really. It's full motion. You jump in it. You jump into the cockpit. Everything's the exact same. All the switches, the yoke, the seats, everything is literally identical to the airplane. And then they turn the motion on, and then you taxi out. You can feel the plane taxiing in the full motion. Then when you take off and pull the nose up, you sit back in your seat a little bit. Wow. But I'm going to really like flying the Lear, I think. I'm pretty excited. It's fast. It's really fast. Yeah. It's about 300. Cruise at about, I think, roughly about 300 knots or so.
Oh. What does your Otter get to?
Red line's 133 miles an hour.
Okay.
Generally, we cruise them around at like, I don't know, 110, 120.
Okay.
The beaver sits at about 105, 110, a little slower.
Yeah.
But the otter can just pack so much weight,
Mm-hmm.
a couple thousand pounds.
Yeah.
The beaver fits about 1,000.
We took both of those for, like, growing up on Prince of Wales. That was how we got around for a lot of the basketball trips. So sometimes it'd be split the team into two beavers and then going from Cake to Angoon, and it just feels like you're just crawling over and getting bounced around. But, that was...
Is that Promec? Pack Air?
We took Promec. Yeah. We did some Pack Air. When we first got here, it was Temsco.
Oh, yeah.
So way back.
Yeah.
And then I think Taquan was just starting to
get a little bigger.
Yeah. At one point, Taquan had Air 1, I think, when they messed around with like a faster, wasn't like the Island Air, but it was something, I think it was my senior year, and it was a faster or a different plane that they were trying to get some flights up to Juneau. I don't think it lasted real long just because there's really not a lot of traffic to go to Juneau. People want like a direct, but not enough people want it to really make it viable.
I think Temsco tried to do stuff like that back in the day when they had fixed wing. Now they're just kind of strictly helicopters. But back when they were fixed wing, I think they had some, I think they're called Islanders or something like that. They're kind of a bigger IFR kind of airplane.
Maybe it was Temsco.
Yeah, I know they messed around with some of that.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Ketchikan Air, too.
Yeah,
but
man, that was
my uncle
wild.
flew back in the day for Temsco as well, so I got to hear a lot of stories on. I still hear new stories every time, but I don't mind hearing them because they're all learning experiences for me.
Yeah.
On what not to do and what maybe to do.
Yeah, there's just growing up around here, you hear stories, and there's always times when, you're going for a window, or you have to drive to Hollis to be able to fly over to here to Ketchikan because you can't get through the pass, whatnot. But it's just kind of a rite of a passage. You're either doing it for fly-in hunts or you're doing it for sports or whatnot.
I was super thankful too. I got to learn from the best, like Steve Cam, Jeff Carlin, JJ Jakubek, my grandpa. I'm missing a lot, but there's a whole bunch of really good guys that were here in town that I've been more than thankful that I've just got to be able to just sit down and have conversations with them. Just them giving me tips. Like I can name a lot of quotes from different guys, and they're just telling me stuff to just help me keep myself alive.
Yeah.
Just small stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all great stuff. It's all, there's what's that saying? There's like old bold, or there's no old bold pilots, but there's bold old pilot or something. Somewhere around those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear that a lot with the fishing too. Like you have to go for it, but also you got to be smart.
You got to know your limits.
But some kids I recommend leaving Ketchikan because that's what's best for them. Other people, it makes total sense to come back here and be able to do something you can have a good life up here in Ketchikan.
Right.
So, are you totally set and loving it here? Because it seems like you're making the best out of it.
I don't know. I kind of told myself in high school that I was never going to leave. I like Ketchikan too much. I don't know. I mean, part of me would think it'd be cool to go check out like something else for a little while, but now I'm kind of set with what I'm doing, and I don't regret it at all. I love it here. Between hunting and fishing, and if I'm not flying on my days off, I'm spending time in the woods or going up to my dad's house and helping him work on the boat, work on the house. I don't know. I'm too involved, I think, just in kind of like the Southeast hobbies.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the important thing too, to be able to have something that makes life not just like I'm a 19-year-old with an entry-level job. I'm a 20-year-old with an entry-level job. Like you can make the most of living here, and you're in that group of people, in the circle of people who really make the best of living here. Yeah. There were kids that, I grew up in Prince of Wales again in Klawock, and said, well, why are you back? I said, well, I'm kind of back on my own terms, and I kind of saw things, and I'm making the choice now that this is better rather than being stuck here, and that's a huge difference.
Right.
Choosing here on purpose with some skills and with something to have a fun life rather than be stuck here and always wonder what it's like out there.
Right.
Because you could go anywhere you wanted to. If you and your wife wanted to go.
Yeah, we can pack up and go anywhere. But now we got a couple dogs and a cat, so it makes it kind of a pain in the butt to even get out of town for a couple weeks. You got to find a dog sitter. Yeah, it's kind of a pain.
Yeah.
But
So what about that filling in the gaps, the life part when you're away from work? I know you do a lot of hunting. It seems like every year I see you at least once when we're out there.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of the hunting, the fishing? What is it?
Definitely hunting. I mean, I like to fish too, but I mean, hunting season's only for so long. So when it's hunting season, I try and spend a lot of days in the woods. There's a lot of days where if the weather's crap, just show up to work and we're not really going to do anything today. You guys can head home.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I normally will jump in my truck by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning and drive out the road and hunt until dark.
Nice.
Now that summer's rolling around, probably try and get some fishing in with the longer days.
Mm-hmm.
Take the boat out. But I don't know. I like to spend a lot of time in the woods. And got some friends too that are really into trapping. And so I've been tagging along
like
with
wolf
them
trapping?
on that. Wolf, Wolverine, marten,
nice.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've got to tag along with them a lot, and that's been super cool. I didn't really grow up trapping a lot. My grandpa did it, but my dad didn't really do it much. He tagged along with his dad, my grandpa, a lot. So he got to do it, but I never really did it. Mm-hmm. But tagging along with my buddies going to do that, that's a blast.
Yeah, super fun. I've gone out a couple of times with friends who are wolf trapping and just seeing what it takes to get a wolf. They're so unbelievably smart.
Yeah.
And when people talk about them being trapped into extinction, I think absolutely not.
No, there's so many
zero
wolves.
chance of that.
There's
I
so
was
many
out once and it was a bait set and there were 5 traps that were buried in the mud flat around the bait set.
Yeah.
And they had walked around it and one of the traps was dug up and pulled out without being sprung.
Yeah, they're crazy.
How does anybody ever get a wolf if they're that smart to do it?
So some people do like the I think there's like scent posts that you can do, and then I'm new to it. And there's the wire that they walk
snares,
through.
Yeah,
snares.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of different ways.
Yeah,
But
it takes so long to get good. Unless you have a mentor, if you're just out there kind of fumbling around, it's going to take forever. So just knowing how to treat the traps, finding a good spot, and just
I wish wild. I got the tag along with my grandpa. I was too young, but when he was trapping, he used to always take planes out, put the plane up to the beach, go check his traps, and then tie the wolf to the float and bring it back to town. All sorts of stuff. Or he would a lot of tidal stuff. So you'd go somewhere on a low tide, set it on a flat, and then let the tide kind of take care of it, put it out of its misery, and then he'd come when the tide went back out, and he'd throw it in the plane.
Yeah, that old, not really old. Like the old 20s and 30s is super interesting, but also, you go up by Bell Island and there's the hot springs there, and
that's beautiful. Have you been up there?
I haven't been up there, but I saw some pictures, and Rick Collins remembers going up there as a kid and going to the pool and getting sunburned and whatnot. But
so Bell Island is privately owned by the Eichners here in town.
They bought it
a while ago. I don't know when it was, but and Daniel Eichner, his family owns it. He was a couple years older than me. You remember Daniel?
Yeah, I think he was in my science fiction lit class my first year. I think he was a senior that first year.
Super good guy. Aviation kind of brought us together, but he ended up being the best man at my wedding.
Cool.
So we got super close, and we had my bachelor party up at Bell Island Hot Springs.
Oh, nice.
So we went up and hung out in the cabin and went up and went to the pools, and super cool. I've been up there a couple times now, and it's cool. I'd like to check out the other one that's super close. Bailey Bay, Shalokum. There's that other hot spring up there. That one's public, but a little bit of a hike, but that would be a cool one too.
So the Bell Island one, I don't know if you know a lot of the history about it. I really don't, but it was privately owned but open, so people could go there. Yeah. And then it was sold to someone else, and then that's when it came into disrepair, because there's a huge gap in its history where it kind of just deteriorated. And then the Eichners bought it. Now they...
Right, but back in the day, there was like... long time ago, there was like a dock up there, and there was like a little some sort of facility. Wasn't it like a fishing facility or something?
I think there was
not a cannery, but something similar around those lines.
I think I saw 2 things. I think it was Rick Collins that showed me there was this old advertisement where you could fly out of Ketchikan to the hot springs. So there was structure for there, but there was also some sort of other. I don't know if it was a cannery or some sort of fishing area, because I think Dave White fished out of there a little bit.
I know a lot of that up there is kind of torn down now. Like there was a whole bunch of houses and little cabins up there. A lot of that's torn down.
Mm-hmm.
There's just kind of one place up there that actually is decent now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. I think about, it seems like Ketchikan is in its prime right now, but I think maybe before was in its prime when the mall was, had stores. So I think about
Right.
maybe when I was in high school, maybe that was the prime, but then that was right after the pulp mill went out, and so you
Right.
just keep kind of going back to like the pros and cons of each time that you were living here. And
Now it's just all tourist based.
yeah,
Just everybody looks forward to a lot of people look forward to the tourist season in a certain degree. Some people don't like it. Some people like it for their business. Some people think it's just a pain just because you're driving. You can't get through town without almost running somebody over.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of? Because you do a lot of like tours or flyouts, or what's your?
So we at TAC 1, you do a lot of. We do some tours. We do a fair amount of tours, like a bear tour, Missy Fjord tour. And they have a mail contract for Prince of Wales, so we deliver a lot of mail. So kind of a glorified mailman at that.
Nice.
on that kind of perspective of it. I like the mail runs when they can send you up on like a 4 or 5 stopper, go up to the north end of Prince of Wales, hit
cool.
like
Yeah.
Knockety Edna, Protection Baker. Like you can get up there. Those are the coolest flights. You build a relationship with all the agents you have that work for you up there, and you see them all as family. So that's like the best part.
You like the solitude too when you're flying. You don't have to worry about pointing stuff out or anything. It's just
boxes don't talk, and they don't care if it. they don't care if it's rough out.
Yeah.
Like if it's bumpy, they don't care. Where
That's nice.
people they're asking where the sick sacks are if it's a rough day, and then you feel bad for even bringing them out because it's rough and they're getting sick, and you're supposed to have a quality tour, but there's just some days where it's just like today's just really not the day to.
Yeah.
Today's the day where you can get a lot of stuff done. But it's just certain stuff. There's just some days where it's tour quality, and there's some days where it's not tour quality.
Yeah, yeah.
But the days that I fly for Seawind, that's my family. But that's basically there are a lot of tourist based stuff, a lot of tours, but they have a lot of charter stuff too. So like they provide like waterfall and like a whole bunch of different fishing lodges over in Prince of Wales. So that's nice too. I don't know. I'm tired of going to the Missy Fjords, and I've only been doing it for like 3 or 4 years. I can't imagine how my uncle feels. He's been doing this for, 30 years or something wild like that. I can't imagine going to the fjords, or how many times he's gone out to the fjords. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's beautiful.
It is.
Then doing the same thing over and over. I have some guide buddies, same thing with fishing. They love taking people out, but after a while, it's kind of a grind.
Yeah.
But then you get like the right group, and all of a sudden
That
it's
makes it
super
a lot,
cool because they're excited.
easier.
Yeah.
When you can have people back there kind of just where I'm not the only conversation starter. Like I'll point something out and then they say something, and so then I can go off what they're saying, and the conversation can just roll, and then the tour goes a lot quicker, goes a lot better. Where there's some people where you're just saying stuff and they just kind of sit there and they're just I mean, they're just listening. I mean, I get that. Some people just want to listen, but some people will speak up, and it goes a little better, I'd say. Well, not necessarily better, but just it flows.
Yeah. Kind of like journalism class, but maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so wild. It's cool to see the people who, like, they pay the money to come up here and appreciate it. It's amazing how many people come up here and have a very entitled attitude where they want to see everything on their own terms, and it's going to be sunny, and it's going to be calm, and it's going to be perfect, and if it's not, then
Right.
it's like, where do you think that you can just have everything that you want?
Right. No, the Misties are cool. I shouldn't be dogging them. I mean, they're beautiful, and I see why people want to go out there. The best part is like kind of the first part of the season when you still have the snow on the hills back there.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Me and my wife, Havila, she was in we were in those classes together with
Oh,
you.
yeah. You guys did the video recaps and whatnot. You brought the broadcast element to there.
Yeah. But we got married out there in one of the lakes.
Oh, really?
Lake Manzoni. We took, 4 airplanes? 1 otter and 3 beavers out there. We got married on a beach out there in one of the lakes. It was beautiful.
Yeah. How many people?
I think it was like 20. We brought 22 people out there. Kind of just like immediate family.
Yeah.
Kind of. And then we came back and had a bigger reception in town where all of our friends came.
Perfect.
And family, friends, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The one thing that I don't think people are disappointed about, but when they think of Alaska, they think of glaciers. But you have to kind of get the Petersburg area where you have a lot more of those glaciers that are pretty close to town.
Connie.
Yeah, and then up to Glacier Bay, obviously, and then Juneau has one right in the valley there.
Right.
But not having one in Ketchikan, that's kind of like the one thing.
It is
misty and it's beautiful, but we just don't have that glacier, and people are kind of like, this seems more like Washington than anything.
So a lot of people ask, are we going to see any glaciers? It's like not really necessarily here. If you get back towards like Hyder, you can see the Seoul. I think it's Seoul Glacier. But that's a little ways out of the way. Like it's not really where. If you do like an expanded tour, if that's an option, I don't know if that's an option. Then you can get up there and check that out. But you need a little bit more time. Generally, we do like an hour flight, hour and 15 minutes or so. So that's enough time to get out there, do some circles, kind of check out the falls, check out maybe a couple goats on the hills, and land. Take 10 minutes on the water, let them step out, and just kind of get like the silence out there. That's the best part is the silence, and then flying back to town.
Yeah. You thought about some of the interior Alaska, taking your super lightweight up onto a mountain and doing caribou or Dall sheep hunting?
That'd be cool. I don't know. I've never really got into that kind of stuff. I've always just hunted blacktail. Last year I went on a brown bear hunt with a buddy. We took a boat out and got to the mainland, did a brown bear hunt. Didn't shoot anything. Saw a handful of them, but we're kind of new to kind of what's male, what's female, what's cub, what's a big cub, like kind of just knowing the difference between all of them. And so we didn't shoot anything, but the experience was super cool. But I think getting up there, I drew the elk tag a couple years ago on Edelin. I wasn't able to make it. I was pretty bummed, but I don't know. It'd be cool.
There's a lot of people in the interior. I think, Alaska per capita has more private-owned planes and pilot's license per capita than anywhere else in the United States. That makes sense. You have a lot of people just getting their privates, and they buy a float plane, and they buy ultralight that they can fly in somewhere so they can do their hunting. It's like that's the key. That's the ticket to get away from other people.
Right.
Whereas here, it's kind of the boat, like you said. It's, do I have a nice enough boat that I can get away from people, then have that solitude and have that good hunting experience? But in the interior, man, if you got one of those planes and you can go find a strip, that'd be sweet.
That would be. That's how my grandpa kind of started flying. Was up there out of Bethel. My grandma, he had his own 135 out of Bethel. It was a 180 on wheels and skis and floats, but just kind of depended on the year. But my grandma's dad actually bought it for him up there in Bethel. That's kind of how he started going, was flying out of Bethel. And then he came down here. He was from here, from Seattle, but he kind of came back here after having some of that kind of stuff going on up there. But I've never flown up there in the interior. I think it'd be cool, but it's different flying up there.
Yeah. And then it's a ways away. It's not like it's a hassle to get up there.
Yeah.
People say, well, do you go caribou hunting every year? I'm like, no, Southeast Alaska is a long way away.
Right.
It's a considerable amount of money and planning and time to even get up there and try to make something happen.
Well, there's Alaska flying. There's Alaska flying in general, and then there's like Southeast flying, which is like what we do down here. We all have you have your skill set down here, and then you go up north, and it's a different kind of Alaska flying. So like all the guys up there have their skill set of up there, and then we have our skill set of down here. Which, I mean, it can mix, but it's just going up there, it's different, and coming down here, it's different.
Yeah. So I don't know if we covered this on like right before or right now. So you fly for not one specific airline. You're kind of like a freelance contractor. You're with Taquan.
I just kind of go around. I get around. I fly for Taquan. They got me going. Brian, he got me going to kind of where I am today. More than thankful for that. Couldn't have done it without him. He got me to where I am. So I fly for him. Flew for him full time for 2.5, 3 years, roughly. And then last summer I helped my uncle out a little bit on my days off at Taquan. So I was staying pretty busy last summer, which that's what summer's for. And then just got hired on with Guardian. And so it's like a 2-week on, 2-week off schedule at Guardian. So I'll fly for Guardian, Medevac, and then on my days off I'll help out Seawind and Taquan as well.
Nice. Do you kind of like the freedom?
I like moving around. It's kind of nice. I don't know. I'm gonna miss flying floats full time, definitely. just because I got a soft spot for flying float planes.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Ketchikan, that's your southeast right there.
But getting on with this has always been my goal, and so I'm super excited for what is going to come here really shortly.
Yeah,
I got to go back down to Dallas for a little bit more training here in about a week, and then I come home and I got to do a couple things, and then I'll get online with Guardian.
Cool. And then speaking of excited, you got adult league basketball this afternoon.
Yeah, I got a men's league game later this afternoon that I'm going to go to.
Oh, how's that going? You guys still got the 3-point shot, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
That was kind of your specialty in high school.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember I had Coach Shaner back in middle school, and he used to give us like nicknames. And he's like, yeah, Max, he doesn't ever see a shot he doesn't like. But it's a lot of fun. I got a lot of buddies on my team. It's like me, Shakim Bauer.
Oh, yeah.
And like Kyle Smith's on it, and Stephen Perro.
Okay.
There's a few of us on there where it's a ton of fun. And then once summer rolls around, I just had Gavin Salzar text me a couple days ago. He's like, hey, you want to play on our men's league softball team?
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
I did that for a couple of years when I was back here, and it's fun to see just like the recreation part of it. Just go there, have fun. It's competitive enough to where it's not just silliness. Well, there's always a couple people who get a little bit
with that softball,
crazy.
It's like, I don't know. It's just like adult league softball. And so you go out there and play. Well, basically you go out there and drink beer and you play softball too. It's kind of what that could
stay hydrated.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a ton of fun just to kind of hang out with all your buddies.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one thing that I miss most about high school is like seeing all my friends every day. I never thought I'd say I'd miss high school, but it's more of like, you don't really stay in touch with your friends as much anymore.
Yeah.
Some guys leave town, they go to college, they come back. Some of them don't come back. And so it's good kind of in the summer when people are coming back kind of on break, you can catch up.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, it was pretty easy for me to leave Klawock, but then you still miss the friends and you still kind of have, like, I have a buddy that's in Skagway. And I was like, I got to go up to Skagway and see Lars.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a long way to get up there.
Right.
If you take the ferry, it's going to take you a week and still be really expensive. So it's kind of a hassle to get up there. So you feel kind of bad that like your best high school friend you don't ever see.
Right.
And then leaving college, same sort of thing. It's like
Exactly.
you're really close to these people for a while, and then you're not around them anymore.
Exactly.
But
I don't know. I've been doing a lot of flying but like staying in touch with friends. I've gotten into golf lately.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It is so much fun.
Yeah, it's great.
And I remember I used to dog golf. I was like, golf is just
I think everybody starts off dogging it.
Yeah, I just hate golf. But now, like, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm always going to play virtual golf. And when I go out of town, I try and go hit up a golf course and
Yeah.
drive the carts around. I'm not very good, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And I want to get good.
Yeah. I got to the point where some buddies and I would golf on Wednesdays after school because there was like 4 of us in the English department that we like to golf.
Yeah.
And there was it was an executive par 3, so everything is a lot shorter, so you don't even need the driver, which is usually when things go wrong. But we'd go there, and it was $7 for 9 holes, so super cheap.
Yeah.
Terrible course, but just fun to just spray them around.
Was that here in town?
No, that was in California when I was teaching down there.
Oh.
But super great, just walking around, walk off the day, and then it was fun.
Yeah.
And some days you have good days, other days you don't, but it doesn't. I was never competitive with golf the way I was competitive with basketball. Mm-hmm. So if I just chucked one into the orchard, it didn't really matter.
You just pick up another ball
I
and
was really letting that one go. Like, I'd be a little bit frustrated,
Yeah.
but I wasn't like, man, my handicapped is this, or I was 10 over today.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah,
it is so frustrating.
Yeah, just leave it. Leave it.
If I shoot for par on one hole, I'm like stoked.
Yeah,
because that doesn't happen very much. It's normally like triple bogey.
Yeah, you put one on the green, so okay, I got a chance for eagle, and you end up with a double bogey. Like, how does this happen?
Yeah, because you putt it past the hole like 5 times in a row. It's like, gosh.
Yeah, and then if you do something good and you get a par, you get a bogey, the next hole you're going to get destroyed.
Yeah,
and that's just it doesn't.
Exactly.
You hit one club fine. I'm hitting my 9-iron awesome, but because my 3 and 5 are horrible, it's all over.
Right. You always go back to like your default club. It's like, well, I know the 7, so I'm just gonna hit the 7.
Just like Roy McAvoy, that tin cup right there, the 7.
Well, and I didn't know, like, kind of with golf, I was just a baseball player, so I was trying to swing it kind of like a baseball bat, which it's somewhat similar, but it's different. There's a certain art. And so my uncle is trying to show me like how to actually swing a club and like get the form and like how to fix if you're just slicing it and slicing and slicing and slicing. And so I've learned a lot. I want to buy some clubs, but I want to get better before I spend some money on some clubs. They're expensive.
That is, like, I think the one thing I miss about living down south was just having that. If you wanted to go to a nice course, you could, but having just a course available, it's fun to just take a day.
When I was just down in Dallas for training, I had a day off, and I just went straight to the golf course, and I played 18. I drug one of my sim partners with me. He doesn't play golf at all. I drug him with me. I was like, come on, I need some company. Just come with me. And he tried.
Yeah. Were you under 100 or over, or did you keep score?
Oh, I kept score when I was way over 100.
Nice.
It's not very good.
Hey.
I go to virtual grounds here in town and kind of mess around on the virtual side of it. And that's a ton of fun, too. They have a cool setup down there. And I think I'm normally shooting like 130.
As long as you're having fun, as long as you come back to it.
I know I'm bad, but it's a ton of fun just to go and just get better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what else you got, man? What else do you have to say about Ketchikan aviation or living in Ketchikan or hunting or fishing or anything that you're looking forward to?
Aviation wise, I don't know. I'm all about it. I don't know where I'd be without it now. I wouldn't want to do anything different. And so I'm glad I got into it. And I had a lot of supporters getting me into it, giving me tips and tricks and all sorts of stuff. And I don't know where I'd be without it. But it takes a lot of time out of your just your life, really. Like I remember going in, I would only work at back when cause I started on the dock. I was a dock hand for like 3 or 4 years while I was trying to get all my licensing in between. And so on my days off, I'd just go in and just help tie up planes and fuel planes and ride around with all the old timers. I wouldn't even get paid, but I didn't care because that's what I wanted to do. I used to always go in on my days off. My wife never saw. Well, it was my girlfriend at the time. Now my wife, she never saw me. I was just days off. I was always in at TAC 1 every day, and that's kind of. I think that's kind of what it takes. You just go in and ride around with all the old timers and see how they do stuff and ask questions.
Right.
And they want to see you succeed. They know that there's going to be another generation that comes up, so they want to help you out. And they have such a heart for it too. They're there to help you. So that was that kept me busy. But then once winter rolls around, the weather gets bad. So you take some time off and you do a lot of deer hunting. Just ended up getting a boat that I could sleep in and put a 4-wheeler on the back. And so I'm taking that to a lot of different places. Well, there's only a couple places where you can take a 4-wheeler to without giving them away. But now I do that a lot on my days off. A lot of hunting, kind of. On my days off, I don't really spend the time in the airplane because I'm always in the airplane. So I try and spend it either hiking with the wife or just hiking a mountain and just bringing a gun with just in case. Yeah. Or taking the dogs for a walk or something. But stay busy. Tried to catch a winter king a couple times this winter and haven't had much luck with that.
No, it could be nice to have some of these drags by yourself, but then you think no one else is out here.
Right.
You know, there's probably a reason for it. But if you catch a king, you feel like you're
winter kings are hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've asked buddies, like, what do you guys use? And some of them will tell me and they'll help me out a little bit. What general area are you guys going? How deep you fishing? What kind of tackle are you using?
Yeah.
Some of them help me out, like some of my charter buddies. And I don't know. It stays. I don't know. It's just hard. I got a heater in the boat, so I can stay out for longer periods of time without getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Normally, when you're out there and you don't have a heater in the boat, and then you're just cold and you're not catching fish, and so then you get even more frustrated quicker.
Yeah.
Now I can kind of stay warm and just get frustrated.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad.
Makes a big difference.
But I didn't catch any this year so far. I don't know. Did they shut down Kings for a little while?
They do. I'm not exactly sure when it is, but then it opens back up with the terminal run here. But yeah,
it's probably sure. They're probably going to shut it down. It's probably getting shut down soon, I'd imagine, because I think what does it open up back in? Is it June?
June 15th for everything else.
Right.
The terminal one down here, I think it's the 1st.
Right.
But
so they'll probably shut it down soon. But I'm trying to help my dad get his boat. He just got a boat. a bigger Bayliner boat. It's more of like a cabin cruiser, but I've been trying to get him, helping him kind of get that thing in full swing. So when summer rolls around, he can put it in the water and use that a lot. He's got more of like the comfortable boat, where mine's just more of like you can sleep 2 guys, but it's not necessarily very comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to be hardcore. Yeah, the skiff is nice because you can get into all those little areas, and some of those trolling areas, there's little pockets off to the side where larger boats can't go. Right. So the skiff is nice to be able to make a nice drag closer to shore right in those pockets.
But you can get kind of away from a little bit of the power trollers too.
Yeah, right.
Power trollers kind of don't really care if you're in the way.
Not really, especially if it's a skiff.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you hook up on a skiff, it's chaos.
Yeah.
It is absolute chaos. The boat's rocking. super fun though.
Yeah. You got one guy standing on the edge. You're on the same edge. He's trying to dip net the fish, and the boat's tipping over.
Yeah.
Then if it's rough, then it's even more interesting.
Yep. And people watching, and it's.
But the adrenaline is what.
Oh yeah.
The adrenaline is what gets you to keep doing it.
Yeah. Speaking of frustrating, I mean, you can lose 15 balls in one hole, and it still doesn't compare to losing a king at the boat.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that happens.
Shoot, downrigger balls are like $40 or something like that. So when you lose them, it's gosh.
Yeah.
I normally have a couple spares on the boat.
Trolling out north, and I was out of spares, and I was like, all right, watch out. We got a rock coming up here, so I got to be careful. I told that to my wife, and then immediately hit the rock, and then it was an old crank downrigger, and I didn't crank up fast enough, so it just caught, broke off, and that was it. I said,
oh, jeez.
There it is. We have nothing.
Yeah. You're only fishing one downrigger? No.
Yeah, that was it. We only had one downrigger, so that was it. Yeah, it was a single downrigger. I had this old 15-foot Boston whaler, and then I didn't have any kidney weights or anything else to mooch or anything, so that was the end of the day. So, like 15 minutes in, just stupid.
Oh, gosh.
But
right when you're about to hit the tide just right.
It was going to be a wide open day. But
it's going to be a great day.
Yeah, so...
I just upgraded to some electric downriggers, so I'm looking forward to using that this summer.
So nice. Yeah.
I've never really... My dad's boat always had them, so whenever I took his out, I got the advantage of having those, but they're so much nicer than having the hand
not
crank.
Even close. Yeah, when we had a 21-foot North River and then sold that to kind of help make sure we had enough money for the house and get the stuff that we wanted to with that. So when we got back in the game, we got brand new 18-foot Lund and had... plugs put in for downriggers, so it's nice to have.
Is there electric
ones.
Do you have electric on your?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's super nice. So
now you got to upgrade and get a bigger boat now that you guys have the house.
Maybe, yeah, but I think for now we'll keep this for a little while. We can put our e-bikes on there and get out to spots. We got some e-bikes.
Is that just an electric bike?
Yeah,
like little motors on it.
Yeah.
So you have to charge them then?
Yeah, but they're like it's a Baku. They're built by like hunters down in Utah.
Yeah.
So it's like meant for.
Really?
When we saw you at that one dock, we didn't have the e-bikes, did we?
No. You guys just had, I think, your in-laws in town. You guys were just kind of
we're just cruising. Around. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys bring out your e-bikes?
Oh yeah.
That's cool. They get going pretty. I mean, when you're hunting, you're generally going slow, but do they get going pretty quick?
They can get going pretty quick, and I think we get about 40 miles for a charge, but we haven't really pushed it. Right. And we don't have like a backup battery or something like that, but we might do that. But they're pretty nice.
What the heck?
They're pretty nice.
Is there like little racks on them?
You can get all kinds of accessories and stuff for them.
Why not just get like a little dirt bike?
The e-bike is quieter. It's lighter.
Yeah.
And then
can you muscle them in and out of the skiff?
Yeah. I think they're they're either 67 or 57 pounds.
Oh, geez, that's it?
So, yeah. And they carry a nice load. And like I said, they're quiet. You still feel like you're kind of exercising a little bit because you're pedaling, but it has pedal assist. So when you're going uphill, you just put on 4 pedal assist. And you can just sit down and pedal because the motor's doing most of the work.
Right.
And then you can get more battery life if you do some more pedaling.
So if the battery dies, you can just bicycle it back to town.
Yeah, you better hope that there's some downhill because they are pretty beefy. But you could.
Is there gears on it?
Oh yeah, man. Huh. Yeah, when we're done, I'll show you them. They're pretty sweet.
Heck?
Yeah.
I just got I got a 4-wheeler that we take out there, but I just kind of got into like the motorcycle world, and so I bought a dirt bike out of Wrangell for cheap. It didn't run. My dad helped me get it up and running. It didn't take much. It took a carburetor and like a stator, but then it fired right up.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
It's a Honda 650.
Yeah, those
It's like
things
an
are
enduro,
yeah,
dirt bike kind of deal, street legal.
yeah,
And so I kind of my dad taught me kind of like the basics on how to like drive one, because
yeah.
I didn't grow up on motorcycles.
Me either.
I grew up on four-wheelers, and kind of taught myself how to drive it last summer. I ended up getting my motorcycle license,
There you go.
and now one of my coworkers, he has like two little Honda 125s.
Mm-hmm.
That would be easier to muscle in and out of the boat. Even if you don't have a dock, like you can just get to like a landing,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of put the boat up against the beach and kind of throw them out to your buddy.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about buying another motorcycle.
Yeah, those 125s are pretty cool. They're kind of you see a lot of them, a lot of old ones kind of around here in Southeast to get on those roads. But yeah, I've seen a couple people with e-bikes, but like these are meant for the outdoors. Yeah.
That's crazy. They don't, you don't have to worry about like, obviously you don't have to worry about like rain or water or.
No, there's a little bag you can put over the battery to kind of keep the splash, but they're meant to be outside and meant for it. But you got to store them in a nice dry place so you don't get, if you store them outside, they're going to corrode and the battery's going to get jacked up or light on fire or something like that. But it's a pretty stable system. So yeah, it'll be kind of a test because Utah and puddles and rain is different than 160
your
inches of rain here.
rain.
So
right.
but yeah, it's been good so far. We got them partway through the season last year, so we used them a couple of times. But yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Do you guys camp out there then when you guys go out there?
Yeah,
just
we
pitch
have.
a tent?
Yeah.
Huh.
Just recently got a hot tent, one of those seek outside ones, and
I saw that on
sweet.
your Instagram. You guys looked like you guys hiked into some spot and you guys had that little stove inside.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
I did some Googling after I saw that.
Yeah.
Just I was curious on them.
I hate the term game changer, but it's so nice to be able to get warm, and it's like a fire warm is different than like a heater or a little buddy warm.
Right.
So you're in there and it's warm. I don't know. I've taken it to the Alpine a couple of times too with, or my buddy has one and we've taken it to the Alpine, but that was more in like September-ish. So I don't know if you take it to the Alpine or go up top because the whole thing weighs like 8 pounds. So
the stove,
the stove pipe and the tent, it's like 9 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy. The stove pipe just rolls up. The stove breaks down.
And it's just wood. You just burn wood in it.
Yeah, just burn wood. So if you taken some small pieces or one of those like Viking pressed logs up there to kind of get things started, then you have to gather some other wood. So, and it burns it pretty quick.
Is it get warm enough in there to dry out some gear?
Oh yeah.
What the heck?
And that's when we were using that for rut. That was the big thing because you're walking around, even if it's not raining, you're going through the brush and you're getting wet.
Everything's soaked.
Walking through the muskegs and stuff. So if you keep feeding it, then yeah, you're going to get warm and dry. But
do you trust it to burn all day when you're not at camp? Or do you put it out?
It won't burn. Like if you get it hot and stoked before you go to bed,
you have coals,
you'll still wake up and it'll be cold. There might be some coals left that you can stoke in the morning, but it's a pretty small stove, so it burns through the stuff pretty quick.
Cook on it too then?
Yeah, but being able to wake up and just within seconds have the fire going,
that's
super nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Super nice.
I bought one of those Chinese diesel heaters for in my boat.
Yeah.
And those things are pretty killer.
Mm-hmm.
I just run it off of like a 2-gallon jerry jug.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out and for like a 3-4 day hunting trip and I didn't run out.
Nice.
And I ran it not during the day when I was gone, but once I get back, I'd fire it up and let it burn the whole time.
Yeah.
And they don't burn anything, and they keep that. It's like a sauna in the boat. Dry out all your gear.
Yeah.
On low, you even get way too warm. You almost have to sleep with the leg outside of the sleeping bag. It just gets hot.
It makes such a difference when you can be warm and dry.
Oh yeah,
it's unbelievable. And then you look, think back to like what your grandpa and how hardcore he was when he was doing that because he wasn't having those nice amenities and 8-pound tents and whatnot.
Exactly.
But just wool, heavy wool. But
I need to upgrade my tent. I just have like a little Walmart Ozark trailer or whatever the heck those things are.
Yeah, one of those water repellent, not necessarily waterproof.
But I like the QU stuff a lot. I got a lot of QU gear. And I've been looking at their tents. They're just so gosh darn expensive. But I mean, I've bought plenty of coats. I don't know why I just haven't bought a tent.
Yeah, it's. I don't like buying tents, and so when we bought the hot tent, it was like something new. And so I thought this is gonna, for rut especially, it's gonna be super nice to, especially if you're spending time. As the sun goes down at 4:00, it's dark, and so you have 14 hours. Right. So if you're in a tent that you can stand up, you can dry out. You can
stand up in there too?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you're feeding it. You're doing something. There's room to move around. You're not just kind of damp and cold in the tent. It just makes for such a better experience. But there is no floor in it. I think you can buy a floor. So
there's no floor. There's no
floor. So potential issues are, if you can't get a big enough spot in the forest,
right,
then you might get some gaps, and then you're gonna have air coming in. It's gonna be cold, and then wherever you put it down, if there's moisture from the ground or from the moss or whatever, then that's going to make it pretty humid in there, so you get some more condensation in there. But you get it nice and hot, and you put down a vapor barrier, and then your sleeping pad, then your bag.
You stay dry.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Huh. The heck, I'll have to look into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Seek Outside is really good. Argali has another one too. Does KUIU have a hot tent? I'm sure they would at some point will.
I don't know. A hot tent is just like one with like
one with a stove. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really looked too much into those tents. But
well, it's the winter season, man. This is what you got to get the gear now for next year.
Right. Yeah, I normally like to try to do like one alpine trip a year. Try and have my uncle drop me off in a lake or something.
Yeah.
But I normally do one once a year, but I generally go to the same spot. And so normally I'll like stash a tarp up there and
nice.
in the side or something.
I'm curious about the floorless tent. The teepee up in the alpine can be sketchy because, like I said, we've done it twice, and one day it was really, really rainy, but it wasn't super, super windy, and there's a lot more surface area for it to catch.
Right.
So I'm not sure how it performed there. And then also the floorless with all the mosquitoes. If you're in August and the mosquitoes are terrible, I don't know if you're just trapping them in there, or I don't know how that happens, but I think maybe if you had no weight limit and you could get a hot tent in there to kind of do the cooking, dry stuff out, and then sleep in the other tent just to make sure that you weren't getting mosquitoes, maybe that's to do it. I don't know, but I think we're going to plan on taking our regular tents up there for alpine just because they're smaller, because it's easier to pack, and you don't necessarily need the heat.
Not necessarily. I doing a lot of flying around. I see a lot of tents up on top of hillsides. People so I get to see all the spots that people are going to.
Interesting.
I get to see all the deer flying over just like the hilltops in August.
Yeah.
Or even late July. I'm always like looking down, looking for deer. Like, I wonder if I should try this spot next year.
Yeah.
Then you see some guy's tent up there. It's like, okay, somebody else knows about this spot too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone knows where to go.
Right.
Nothing's secret. It's just a matter of whether or not the weather's going to cooperate and whether or not you're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
That tends to be kind of the main things.
You take a week off, and then 5 of those 7 days the weather's terrible, and then you're like, well, I can't even go up there now.
Yeah.
And so it's
if it doesn't match your schedule, then that can kind of just haunt you the entire time.
Right. But then some people get lucky and they just schedule this weekend, and this is the only weekend they have, and it works out perfect for them. Mm-hmm. They fly into the lake, they shoot mashers, and then they fly out the day they're supposed to fly out.
Yeah. And no big deal.
I don't have that luck.
No.
I don't have that kind of luck.
No. Braden, Lene does.
I know.
Braden and Deegan, they
I started
do pretty
doing
well.
I've been doing some hanging out with Braden. He's a really good guy, and we've been doing a lot of deer hunting together. We went out last year to a spot that I've only gone. I don't know. We went out to this spot, and I told him, I was like, I've only ever been to this spot one time, but it was a good spot. I liked it. I didn't see any deer in there, but it was just one of those spots where you could tell like this could be a good spot. It was a muskeg. It was right on the side of right on the side of the timber. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a big muskeg. It was kind of a smaller one. It was a little bit of a hike to get back there. I thought it was a great spot. So it was one of those days where it was blowing like 30, 35 out of the southeast and just pouring down rain. And we're out there hunting. I'm like, let's just go check it out. So we get back there, and you got to hike through a couple muskegs to get back to the spot that I liked. And right when we were coming up on this spot, I was like, all right, this is we're getting into it, kind of where I thought would be a good spot. We come up over this hill, and there's like this tree in the way. And I kind of look at him, and I think we're kind of like discussing, like, should we blow the call, or should we just kind of be discreet and keep moving, or what do you think? And we're kind of, we weren't talking for maybe 10 seconds. And we're like, let's just keep going. So, all right. So we take like 2 steps to the left, and we're like getting ready to work down this little hill. and I look up, and all I saw was just horns, just antlers. And I knew it was big. I didn't know how big. I just kept telling myself, it was just 3-point, just so I wouldn't get discouraged. It's like, it's just a 3-point, no big deal. It's not a 4-point. There's no reason to get super discouraged. I've never shot a 4-point. I've shot a 4x2, but I've never shot like an actual 4-point. And so, anyways, I saw it, and it saw me at the same exact time. I was in front of Braden, and so I was getting ready to shoot. Me and the deer saw each other at the same exact time, and it just bolted. I didn't even have a chance to put one in the chamber. I didn't have a chance to even pull the scope up to it. I had no time at all. I was so frustrated. And Braden, we just started sprinting after it, just trying to just get to it. We stopped, blew the call, rattled, grunted, tried to do everything we could to get this buck back. And it was like it was like maybe mid-September. So the horns were kind of bright. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of spooked that time. Like it come across like a nice buck in September. I feel like it's pretty hard.
Yeah, they're not dumb and curious.
Yeah, they're smart, and they get spooked really easily. But we had the wind working for us that day, so the woods were loud, and so you could get away with stepping on a twig and not really getting too upset about it. Anyways, missed the buck. I was super, super discouraged, and Braden was like, "That was your 4-point." And I looked at him. I was like, "No, it wasn't. Like, no, it was big, but it wasn't that big." He's like, "No, Max. I was looking at it, and I saw it when you were dinking around with your gun trying to shoot it. That was a 4-point." I was like, "No, it wasn't." And so now we're all pissed off, and we hunt the rest of the day. And even still, I text him. I'm like, "Damn." He's like, I was thinking about it too. And we don't even have to talk about it. We just know what we're thinking about. We went out like a couple weeks later after that and set game cameras up. I'm new to game cameras. Set game cams in that spot. And we ended up seeing that buck on those game cams. And of course, it was a nice symmetrical 4-point. Mm-hmm. Had a cool little kicker.
Nice.
It was I'm still upset.
You got to be haunted by something, right?
Yeah. And so then, of course, that I went out there to that same spot. I overhunted that spot, of course, because I knew he was there. And so I was going out there. I tried to go out there and I tried blowing the call. I tried to go out there and just maybe grunt this day, go out there and maybe just rattle this day. I even went out there and sat in the muskeg for like 3 hours not making a peep just to see if I could just get lucky again. And I never got to see him ever again. I was pretty discouraged. I kept calling in this spike that I kept picking up on my game cameras, and that would get me even more upset. Like, just go away.
Get out.
I'm not trying to get you. Go away. And so I think this July and August I'll probably spend July I'll set some cameras, and then once August, maybe not August, but October rolls around, I'll probably hunt my season away in that same muskeg.
Yeah, I've had a couple. I've put some game cameras down low through the year, and have seen nice big bucks in the muskegs down low in August and even into September.
Right.
And so you kind of get an idea that, okay, up high is where the bucks are in August, and then down low for rut. But if a buck has everything it needs down low, it doesn't have to go up.
Right. Well, vice versa.
To migrate. Yeah.
Vice versa too. I mean, if they have no reason to be pushed down, they're going to hang out up top as long as possible. Mm-hmm. I mean, if there's no snow or anything to push them down, all the big ones are going to be up high.
Yeah. I've tried a lot more high muskeg stuff these last couple of years just to kind of see, because everyone's doing beach hunting and the lowest muskegs possible. But it gets a little bit difficult because you don't have those hours on both ends. It's if you start and you hike up, by the time you get up there, it's already time to.
Well, I probably overhike too. Like I feel like, well, maybe not overhike, but I'm always like, I got to get as far away off the road as possible. And so I'll just kind of just point that way and just hike that way for just hours. And then I find myself way back, like, I don't know, 3-4 miles back. And then I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man, if I were to shoot something back here, the pack out would be insane.
Horrible. Yeah.
It'd be insane.
It's kind of like playing to your strengths, because when you get like some of the older guys who are super, super patient, they do 1 mile circuits, and they do 1 mile circuits that are really slow and methodical, and they know how to call, and it's effective for them.
Right.
But being younger, being able to get to that next muskeg that maybe is 2 miles back there and hunt the heck out of that, it's going to get less pressure.
Where you got to cross creeks and go down into weird spots where you think that nobody comes back here, and then you get back there and you see a piece of fresh flagging. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, well, I guess I'm not the only one that comes back here.
Yeah.
Or you see a footprint in the mud or something.
Yeah. You second guess quite a bit, but I think there's something to be said about hunting really, really well, versus hiking too far, but also hiking to get away, rather than just hoping that, you're standing a quarter mile from the road, whatever the legal shooting distance is, and just
Right.
waiting for something like some city buck to, like, I guess you could get lucky doing that, but it's probably better to get back in somewhere. So,
Right. And it's more rewarding too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with shooting a road buck, but I mean, well, I guess when you get a quarter mile off the road, then that's your road buck. But I mean, it's more rewarding when you can get back a mile or two in there and you blow the call and a nice buck steps out and you get a hold of a nice buck that way where you actually called him out rather than just stumbling across one. I mean, if you stumble across one back there, that's great.
Yeah.
That's cool too. But there's just something about like calling them in or even calling in just like a small fork or something and you don't plan on shooting it, just kind of watching it.
Mm-hmm.
They're super cool to watch or just see how I don't know. I like to watch them.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a doe, just sit there and watch the doe.
When you hear the steps coming, you blow the call and you wait, and something's coming
the
in.
The adrenaline that runs through.
Here we go. Yeah. Yeah.
I've done that. Me and my buddy hiked back into this spot. I don't know. It was one of those 3 or 4 mile hikes, and we got all the way back there, and we were getting kind of frustrated. We haven't seen anything all day, and it was kind of getting late in the day, and so we kind of blew the call maybe a little bit more aggressively, just something just come out.
Mm-hmm.
And we heard that. We heard like rustling in the bushes and we heard like stomping. We're like, oh, this is going to be a hit. And then a black bear steps out. Like, nice. And so we basically just picked up all of our stuff and just left.
Gone.
We're like, over it.
Yeah. I'm amazed that doesn't happen more because there is that overlap. They're not hibernating at that point. And I've called in a couple bears or seen a couple bears, but, with the amount of calling that people are doing, it's...
When I'm out with my wife in the woods and we see a bear, black bears generally, they're more scared of you than you are of them. Yeah. Most bears kind of are. I mean, unless you come across an aggressive one, but how are you supposed to know?
Yeah.
And whenever we see a bear, she's always wants to like go the other way for like ever because she does not like bears at all.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm just like, it's just another damn bear. And
yeah. Yeah. It's. You could be pretty comfortable around them once you kind of know what to expect.
Right.
But, there's always that chance of...
I mean, when you see cubs, then you got to start thinking, all right, where's mama? And then you got to start worrying about that. That's something to kind of think twice about.
Yeah.
But if you just see like a lone male or something, it's just kind of like, It'll
be fine. He doesn't want to...
He doesn't
want to eat his fish and berries.
Exactly.
So, well, man, getting on to an hour and a half here. So, let you get to your adult league basketball game. And
okay.
Dominate, but thanks for coming over. Thanks for being on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was stoked when you asked me. I was like, I want to come out. That's
good to talk. Cool. I'm trying to get more kind of the Ketchikan history, some of the interesting stuff. So yeah. Always good to see former students doing well. So
thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, man.